Hello, solopreneur friends. Hello, hello. How are you? Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'm sorry I missed last week. I tell you what, the last 2 weeks, y'all, I feel like I've been 2020'd. Now that the year has now become a verb, I've been 2020'd, and it has been a roller coaster to say the least. But I'm still here. I couldn't wait to get back and come live with you this morning. So I'm glad to be here. If you are joining me live, make sure you say hi in the comments so that I can see that you're here and so I can say hi to you as well. It makes it much more fun when people are watching live. If you're watching on replay, absolutely type hashtag replay in the comments so that I can come back and say hi, because I'll be very grateful to have you here as well. So my name is Tiffany Huckelman, and I'm the founder of Lone Orange, where we help solopreneurs scale their businesses with fewer headaches and more profit. That's what I love, 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 love to do. Solopreneurs are such a fun group of people to work with because we have such passion and so many ideas and so many things that we want to do in the world. And we have the ability to do them and change our minds quickly and adjust the way we're working. So, which is fantastic. I know one of the biggest reasons why I decided to start my own business was for the flexibility and the freedom. For the flexibility of having my own schedule, of working when I wanted to work, of taking off vacations, time for vacations when I wanted to take off, because I had dreams of traveling the country. I wanted the flexibility of, when I started my business, I didn't have a family yet, but my dream was to have a family, and I wanted to be a work at home mom, and I wanted to be the mom who could show up at school for all of the field trips and all of the class parties, and be able to take my kid to the doctor's appointments, and to have that flexibility and not to feel that constraint from being in a job where I had to ask for a boss for time off or juggle all that. So that freedom and flexibility was super attractive to me when I started my own business. And that was one of the big reasons why I got into my own business and why I love having my own business today, because it does afford me that flexibility and freedom. But that also comes, as with everything, there's always another side to that. That with that benefit also comes some challenges that might have been hidden from me at the beginning. Because the reality is, especially as a solopreneur, when you are the one and only person in your business who is responsible for things, things have to keep going. And so when you're not working, the business isn't happening. You're not making money. So having that can be a stark reality. And I remember the first couple times in my business when I did take a vacation, and I felt like I had to take my computer with me and do work, on vacation, and not really unplug, and so many challenges that brought. But it's the reality. It's what has to happen to keep the business going, especially when everything relies on you. And that can be pretty stressful. Um, and so the idea of, how do we handle this? How do we enjoy the value and the benefit of the keeping, of having that flexibility and having that freedom, but also keep the business running? Well, the easy answer are two things: systems and team. So having your systems in place before life happens, so not waiting until life happens and working on those systems, but planning ahead, having those systems in place, and starting to grow that team of people who you can delegate to. So here's the thing: this past week and a half, 2 weeks, uh, my family and I have been thrown a lot of curveballs, and it has been a roller coaster of a ride. Every day has been different. Every day has brought new challenges, and a lot of it was falling. There was just a lot to juggle. And I was juggling a lot of different things that were changing quickly. And I am definitely a plan my work, work my plan kind of gal. So that was a challenge in and of itself. But we were having health challenges, including some COVID scares, which we nobody tested positive, but there've just been a lot of things the last couple of weeks that have really made life challenging. So One of the things I was super grateful for in these last couple of weeks is the freedom and flexibility, is the ability that I had to be at home with my family, to take care of my husband, to take care of my son, to do what they needed, to be there for them without the fear of, oh my gosh, I got to take off work. Oh, is my boss going to let me? So I didn't have that fear. So I was super grateful for that flexibility and for the flexibility of being able to work when I needed to work. That I could adjust my schedule during the day. If I needed to help my son with homework because he was home quarantining with me and he was perfectly healthy, so he was bouncing off the walls, he needed some attention, I had the flexibility of giving that to him. When my husband wasn't feeling well, and so being able to have the time to be here and take care of him was super valuable to me. But it also brought on what that meant is that I was taking, I guess because I'm a solopreneur, things didn't stop. The business doesn't stop. I can't take off necessarily. Um, so things were just being piled on top of that. So what was already a full schedule just got filled more, right? So have you ever had that feeling where you just feel like you're not letting something go, you're just piling more on, and it just felt crushing at times and stressful at times. And it's been a real challenge. And I don't know that we're out of the woods yet, but we're certainly feeling much better. But it's given me some time to reflect on my business and figure out some lessons that I've learned. And a couple of lessons a couple of things that I've recognized is that I am super grateful for the team I have. And I'm super grateful for the systems that I had in place, because there were a lot of things in my business that kept going, that kept happening even without me there. Even when I just didn't have the mental or emotional or physical power to put into my business, things kept happening. And I had that support. And we had already worked out those systems so that things could happen without me, which was super freeing and super liberating. And as a solopreneur, even if there were things that I needed to do, like I just didn't have to think so hard. So having those systems in place and creating those systems in not a time of crisis was so super valuable. And I just realized, and I was so grateful for having that stuff in place already. Plus having the team, I leaned heavily on my ops manager, Laura, to help me get through this and to keep things going and to help me manage things, to make sure that the business was going. But I also learned a few things that I could probably better delegate. Some things that maybe with things calm down, I do need to work on my systems and develop some systems and get them off my plate. Things that I just kind of held on to because it seemed easier to do. Things that I've held on to that I thought it would just be much harder to train somebody else to do. Well, these are the systems that now I need to focus on developing so that the next time life happens, that we'll have those systems in place and those processes in place so that things can happen where I don't have to worry about it, but where my mental load can let go of those things because they're happening, regardless of me being there or not. So those two things were huge, not ahas, because I knew them. Like I knew, I mean, that's what we talk about. But in this time where we were having all these different things happening to us in our personal lives, like having that stuff in place, having the systems and the team in place, just made me that much more grateful that it has happened and the importance of having that for any solopreneur. So another situation that happened, which I found very interesting, is a friend and client was also having a lot of family issues and a lot of life happening to her. And she and I had already been working on developing systems for her business. And so those were coming along, but she hadn't necessarily gotten to the point of hiring somebody yet. She was just kind of in the process of tweaking and testing her systems. But and she and I do similar work. So because she had the systems in place, even though they weren't perfect, she was able to actually hand off some things to me, that little tasks that I could do for her just to help her out. And so and it would not have been possible if she didn't have that system in place. Now, what proved interesting is because I was already helping her with systems, we ended up I was able to give her some feedback on the system, so we tweaked it that much faster, so it was kind of a win-win. But because she was struggling with keeping up with all of her things, there was a task that I could help her with, that I was willing to help her with. Because she was able to hand me her systems, I was able to do it and help her. And it saved her at least an hour, hour and a half of work that she didn't have to do, and the mental load to know that it was done and done well because she had told me what to do. So both of those both of those situations were so freeing and such an illustration of the value of systems and team and having other people to have your back. So getting those systems in place. And I know I feel like I'm beating this drumbeat about systems, and they're not sexy. Like it's not a fun part of being in business, but so crucial, especially when life throws you a curveball, and curveballs are unexpected. Like, these are not things that you can anticipate happening. So you've got to be prepared. You've got to think about these things when things are calm, when you have the mental capacity to do them. So working on those things now. Now, there were other things that I found in my life and in my business that I wasn't getting to. It was stressing me out. And I had to do two things with those. I either had to just do them imperfectly and be okay with just getting them done as good as I could, or taking them off my plate and delaying them. And both of those things were really hard for me. I'm sitting here not in my normal studio background. This is kind of my office background. I've got makeup half on because I've got an eye infection, and like, this is not the way I would want to do it. But here we are because we're doing it, and we're just doing business with imperfect action. And there were other things. I had to cancel meetings. I had to delay deadlines. I had to do things that I don't like doing, but I had to do it in order to take care of myself. Because who is the number one asset of my business? Me. And if I'm not healthy, if I'm not taking care of myself, then my business is not going to be healthy either. And I am saying this to myself as much as I'm saying it to you, because I need to hear it over and over again. So make sure that I was able to take care of those things. But again, I had the flexibility and the freedom to do that because it's my business. I was able to handle things. I'll get the work done. It just won't be at the time that I want it to be. So that's okay. So giving ourselves that grace too is very important as solopreneurs. So if you are sitting there listening to this and wondering, well, shoot, I wonder how scalable my business is. I wonder how safe my business is if life happens, if 2020 happens to me. Then I invite you to take the Scaling Success Inventory assessment. It's just a quick assessment. It will take you less than 5 minutes to take, but it will tell you exactly how scalable your business is. It'll tell you exactly how life-proof or 2020 proof your business is. And it will help you figure out what's the next best thing for you to do to get it to where you want it to be. So I invite you to take that. I'll put the link in the comments below. And I hope that this has been helpful to you. I hope that it's encouraged any of you who either are going through some life things right now, some 2020 things right now, or if you're thinking about, okay, I'm in a calm time right now. What do I need to do to prepare for the next thing? Because it's going to happen. Like, I don't want to we can't sit here and worry about what's going to happen when's the next shoe dropping, but it's life. Like, that's the way life goes. We have the ups and downs. Things are going to happen. We have to adjust. So what can you do to prepare and to adjust when the time happens? Because you never know what's happening, and it could happen on a dime. All right, friends, if you've got any questions or comments, make sure to put those below. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got other topics that you'd like me to cover in future lives, let me know. I'd love to do that as well. My whole goal here is to serve solopreneurs and help you grow your businesses so that you have the business that you love, and that gives you the flexibility and the freedom, and that doesn't give you the headaches and the frustration. All right, friends, I will look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Until then, have a stellar week. Bye-bye.